Have you ever found yourself sitting up late at night, looking up at the stars above, wondering what would happen if the unstoppable PAUNCH met the immovable VLAD? Well, today, my friends, we shall find out in this Greenskin versus Vampire Count Showdown, Grom the PAUNCH, VLAD von Karstein. Now, as far as the build goes, I certainly can't take credit for this. This build was actually sent to me by Aerocrastic. My build that I usually bring with Greenskins against Vampire Counts is a little bit monster heavy. So I have a Black Orc front line, I have double Giants. I'll get Skarsnik, I'll get a Mither Hag, and I'll also get a big boss as well. So basically this allows you to rampage, get the Giants come in and just beat down the rampage target. And it's been pretty successful. Granted, I have ran into some troubles with the double Banshees and obviously some of the monsters and Black Coaches and things like that. So I wanted to kind of run it past some of my pals, and I messaged Aerocrastic and wanted to get his opinion on the matchup. Now, this is the build he actually sent back, so let's go ahead and take a look. And if you guys haven't seen Aerocrastic, make sure to check out his YouTube channel. He's a great player, ever-chosen champion, and a really, really nice guy for sure, and runs tournaments and basically has put together the banner rules that we use for our glorious ECL and all those big tournaments. So make sure to check him out over on his YouTube channel, which will be linked in the comment section below. Now, as far as the build goes, we have Savage Orc Biggins in the front line, and I actually really do like these guys quite a bit in the matchup. In my normal build, I do like to use a couple Giants. I like to use Savage Orc Biggins mixed with Black Orcs, and they're a very solid, durable troop. Anti-large, they hit incredibly hard, 48 melee attack, 46 weapon strength. They can buzzsaw through most Vampire Count troops. Zombies, skeletons, crypt ghouls, you name it. If they go with Cryptors, great. You have a high DPS anti-large unit. And their AP isn't terrible. They do have 13 AP, so if they're fighting Graveguard, they can actually bang through them pretty well with the WA and a little bit of support. Now, that is a tough situation for them, but it's not to say that they don't have a little bit of scrap they can throw back. We do have the AP Cloonies as well. The Warlords boys on the far side, a couple Orc Air boys in the back, and these are going to be Savage Orc Air boys because they're immune to psychology while their frenzy is active, so they don't get terror routed quite as easily. And honestly, they're pretty good fighters. These guys have 32 melee attack, 39 weapon strength, only 8 melee defense, but typically they just need to fight off like zombies that have been summoned on top of them. So it's going to be 3 Savage Orc Air boys in total. The rest of the airs are pretty good here, but honestly, you don't need too much armor centering against counts. I mean, I guess, yeah, you're going to be facing off against White Kings who have some armor. Black Coaches do have 60 armor themselves, but I mean, Black Coaches are 60. I think Vargulfs have like, not too much, like got to be like 30 or 40 or something. Blood Knights do have a little bit of armor, but honestly, I found that the Rusty Hairs do buckle and break pretty quick to like a single zombie summon, whereas the Savage Orc Air boys in general are pretty good at just kind of staying in the pocket. We got Nasty Skulkers in the back, more Savage Orc Biggins in reserve, and double Trolls, so just kind of standard Trolls. Now, this was something that I didn't really think about in this matchup until Arrow actually opened my eyes to it, but these guys, when you stack them on top of Savage Orc Biggins, can become pretty good, a stopping power unit, right? High DPS, high armor piercing. You stack them on top of these guys, they can stop Blood Knights, they can hold up Black Coaches. They give you some mass to work with. Now, yes, they can be terror routed very easily, but they're pretty cheap. It's only 800 gold, and they really do have good potential if your opponent goes super wide with Graveguard as well. You put them on top of the Graveguard units with some Goblins, and they'll certainly be able to crump those guys. There's a Deathcaster as well with Spirit Leech and the Blasting Scroll and the Assault of Stone Scroll. And Grom the PAUNCH, and I actually do like Grom the PAUNCH a lot in this matchup. I actually use him against Beastmen, and even if you're in a matchup where you're expecting like Spawn, Minotaurs, Vargulfs, big targets, he's mobile, he hits relatively hard, and is very tough to snipe. He's got regeneration, has some pretty good AoE buffs, the Language of the Boys, quite helpful. He has the Lucky Banner in case your opponent is playing the traditional Vampire Counts playstyle of just trying to goon you and snipe your lords. He's very tough to snipe. And last but not least, he's got the constant buff, which does give immunity to Psych nearby. So if he's near your Trolls, for example, those bad boys are going to be getting immune to Psychology. So for my opponent's build, it's definitely very solid. He's got double Black Coach. The Black Coaches are quite a menace to deal with. They cause terror, can really get into your back lines. They're incredibly solid against Savage Orcs with their magic damage and bonus versus infantry. They can really wreck those guys pretty good. Blood Knights, he's got VLAD von Karstein on foot, always a hero of the people. And Vlad's honestly not bad here. He's tough to kill. He gets in there. He's not a big target. And if you're worried about like being rampaged by, let's say, Skarsnik, who I think is going to be super common in this matchup, Vlad is a great choice. You're not going to be losing your Lord and primary caster. He's got a bunch of zombies, a couple Graveguard in the back, which I think is quite good. And double White King as well, and I think that's it, aside from a couple of Fellbats. Now, I do like the White King pick. I think they're not bad with Scab Scraith. I do think that Banshees, though, are much better in this matchup. Banshees have substantially better armor-piercing values, are much tougher to kill, and Banshees can do very well against like the Rogue Idols and Giants and things like that, whereas White Kings, they can do okay, but I found that the Banshees are a little bit more consistent. But again, Scab Scraith is actually quite good against my build, like Savage Orcs, Goblins, Archers, so yeah, maybe the White Kings are better here in this particular build matchup. Now the battle's about to be underway, having a good old-fashioned standoff. Both of us are walking at each other very slowly to maintain vigor. There's no point in rushing. Neither of us are putting a ton of pressure on one another, so just kind of feeling each other out, planning out my game plan here. You can see my Trolls, which are in separate control groups. I'm just going to be actually mirroring the Black Coaches, trying to see where those guys go. And Vlad and Grom the PAUNCH, it's very much like Troy 2003, when Achilles, what does he duel? I think the guy's name is like Boagrius or something, but yeah, Achilles has a duel versus this mighty warrior, and they do battle. It's quite cool. But nothing is settled here. Grom the PAUNCH and Vlad just kind of bounce off one another, and I'm going to be pulling back right now, and the frontline engagement should be underway in just a moment. So the Orc Archers will be setting their sights on the Vargulf. Initially, I do actually shoot at the Graveguard, and then I just wait for the Vargulf to get a little bit closer before I switch. Now here the Black Coach is posturing up. I thought he was actually charging with it, so I do get the Trolls and send them in after the Black Coach, thinking he was going to try and come through here, but I acted a little bit too early. Nonetheless, all my Jaka is going to be going onto the Vargulf. Grom the Paunch in his immovable mass, or unstoppable mass, I don't really know, either one works, clubbing a bunch of his goblins. That did not look like a great attack right there, but the loonies, they love it. So it's a good time for all. Now the Fanatics have been loosed as well. A brutal Fanatic spin going right into those Graveguard, taking off like half HP, but they were standing perfectly still, so certainly wasn't too bad. But the Black Coach is causing some problems. Grom the Paunch is also very good for this reason, because if there are Black Coaches, he has good mass, he can get in there, and look at the damage Grom is actually doing to this Black Coach. Very, very good stuff for sure. His charge bonus is quite massive at 90, so certainly can't complain. As far as the frontline fighting goes, Savage Orc Biggins are just tearing apart most of the zombies and chaff units, and the Blood Knights unfortunately were able to get onto my Trolls, so I did overextend the Trolls to try and shut down his Black Coach. He then outmaneuvered me with the Black Coach and countercharged me with the Blood Knights. So the Blood Knights came into the Trolls. Thankfully, I do have the Immunopsychology trait and also Savage Orc Biggins support, so I did fall back as best I could to these Savage Orc Biggins, and they're actually chopping up some of these Blood Knights pretty well. Blood Knights down to 30 models, and they have a bonus for a Sarge of 8. Not the best AP against the high armor of Blood Knights, which is 110, but it's certainly going pretty well. Now in the backfield, we did get a Smoke Bomb off in the Black Coach here. Nice Scab Scrape going down my lines as well from one of his White Kings. But here the Vargulf was actually forced back by the Daka Fire, some Trolls in the flanker. Standing a little bit idle, but I think they were beating on some Graveguard, which actually crumbled down, and I think that's why they're standing there. But we were able to get the Black Coach low. We Mither it, we Spirit Leech it. We're going to be turning our Archers to shoot it here in just a second, and also getting the River Troll Hag to try and deal with it. In the center, we do have a duel of duels. Grom the Paunch going against Vlad von Karstein, the Battle of the Ages. My Savage Orc Airboys are being a little bit inundated by some Skeleton Spearmen and some Summons, but I should be able to fall back. And of course, the Savage Orcs just wrecked that front line. I mean, just brutal stuff. And now they're beating on the White King, and you can see even the White King, which is like heavily armored, these guys just have such good melee attack and weapon strength that they're actually able to do very well against the White King here. The AP Looney's not faring so well against Graveguard, but that's okay. They've done their job. They're unbreakable. Not going to complain there. As far as the balance of power goes, it's pretty even at this point. One Black Coach has been taken out, so we used the Blasting Scroll, I believe. We also did Spirit Leech it and shot it with some of the Daka. Now we're going to be coming after this other Black Coach, and Grom the Paunch, really, really solid at hunting here. The Wa is active, so his melee attack is 101. He's got 500 plus weapon strength with his Lucky Banner and all those good buffs popped. But now the Blood Knights and Knights of the Red Keep get a pretty good charge here, so we do countercharge him with the Trolls. Trolls will take heavy damage here, but there's not that many Blood Knights left, and we do have the Giant River Troll Hag and Grom, so we should be able to win this. Plus, the Trolls are also immune to Psychology because Grom the Paunch is nearby, which I really, really enjoy. On top of that, Savage Orc Biggins should be piling in to help out. Another Spirit Leech should be able to finish off the last of the Blood Knights here. Just showing how truly effective the Trolls can be against these Cav units. And this is unsupported. If they had like some Goblins or something else, those Blood Knights would be in some serious trouble. Unfortunately for me though, the Vargulf still lives. My Savage Orc Biggins are chewing through. Goblins coming in here. Trolls in the back are being chased off by some Fellbats, so good presence of mind by my opponent to try and break some of these Trolls, but honestly they'll probably be able to out-heal the DPS with those Fellbats there and should be okay. So the Daka line, very durable. Savage Orc Biggins, I mean, they're not the definition of durable, but you know, they hold. Their leadership is okay by Archer standards, at least for what the Greenskins have. And they've been able to shoot into this Vargulf pretty well. Now, some of them are going to get Gorilla slapped pretty badly right here, but they're currently immune to Psychology. If you look on the bottom of the tooltip, you can see the Frenzy icon, which means they are not going to be terror-routed by this Vargulf, which is awesome. Goblin Archers, other troops like that might very easily be terror-routed here in this situation. Now in the front, the other Black Coach was taken out. Grom the Paunch and the Giant River Troll Hag took it out. And now she's got her Giant Meat Sack. She's going to start beating here on this White King. Certainly doing a pretty good job. White King should go down very quickly. And Vlad is suffering the eternal fate of Footlords in that he's having to chase, but at least he's a hard target to snipe. And of course, he still has magic, so he's not like running around like a Grimgor of the days of old without like a slow ability or anything like that. In the back, we have the Vargulf kind of surrounded. The Trolls are beating on it. The Archers have fallen back, and if he wants to chase the Archers, the Trolls are going to be hot on his tail. And the Troll Toll must be paid. Here they come. They got their clubs out. And the mighty Vargulf runs in terror, but there's not too many good targets for him, honestly. These are Savage Orc Biggins, which if they turn around and start beating on his light armor with their anti-large and their insanely good DPS, he could be in a bit of trouble. River Troll Hag's coming in as well. Invocation of Nehek used on the Vargulf here, trying to top that bad boy off. And I did forget to use my Assault of Stone Scroll in the beginning, so I just used it on some zombies to try and send a message here. But nonetheless, the River Troll Hag, pretty good mass, and actually able to chase down the Vargulf and continue to do good damage. And what's really cool about Grom the Paunch, if you are playing against Vampire counts, some of the more common tactics for the counts are to spam White Kings and to spam Banshees, right? You see two of those oftentimes. And Grom the Paunch is pretty good against White Kings, very good actually, and also isn't bad against Banshees. With his perpetual cycle charging, even 25% of his DPS going through, it's pretty good with that bonus for his infantry. So I did see the Vargulf coming in here, so we do use the Blasting Scroll, so I guess I didn't use it earlier, and it does a bunch of damage actually. And Grom the Paunch does use his Lucky Banner, which gives him 40% ward save. So again, really highlighting how truly difficult Grom the PAUNCH is to snipe, which is one of the reasons why I think he's such a cool lord. He doesn't have as much like flash and bells and whistles as, let's say, Skarsnik with his Rampage, or, you know, some of the other characters like the Night Goblin War Boss, or maybe Grimgor with his slows. Well, I suppose he does have more than Grimgor. Grimgor's kind of straight to the point. And Grimgor might not actually be bad here. You know, he's got immune to psychology. He could slow down the vampire count lords and characters. He could beat down White Kings. But I still think Grom is better. He's just so much more mobile. And here, he's beating on the White King with his big old axe. He's got his lovely, I don't know what the relationship would be, but it looks like she's throwing up on some of those dudes, which is cool. You know, each their own. White King is trampled by Grom the PAUNCH, going down for the count. And Vlad von Karsine is going to be the last of his people, having racked up a fair amount of kills. And, you know, in Vlad's kind of defense here, he didn't actually go down. He's going down like a champ. The only thing that's going to take him down is himself in army losses. So well played to my opponent. It was a very fun game. Certainly like that build quite a bit. I'm looking forward to getting more games in, because this matchup used to be one I did struggle with for the Greenskins. I found that Blood Knights and the monsters were so tough to deal with. But again, this is new Greenskins. They have some abilities that are certainly very good, some lords that are tougher to snipe. But yeah, I love the Savage Orc Biggins. I like the Orc Arrow Boys and the Trolls. It was a really cool build. So again, Arrow, just want to thank you for sending that build over. I really enjoyed it and look forward to trying it out in tournaments. So as far as his build goes, I actually like it. I'll give you guys a build I've been using against Greenskins to pretty good success. And then also I'll show you my traditional build against Greenskins that I think would have worked here as well. Like double Giants certainly would be very tough for this build to stop. I think the Giants could beat down the White Kings, could help against the monster. Black Orcs would be a good anchor. Yeah, I think my traditional build, or the one I usually use, would have been good here as well. But this one I liked. I feel like this one's a little bit more well-rounded against different types of builds that you could see from the Vampire counts. But again, we'll find out. All right, well played to Poison Ducky. Certainly an awesome guy. And now we're going to be jumping on over, my friends, and taking a look at some builds. We'll look at the Vampire counts. So Vampire counts, this is actually like a matchup I feel very confident in with Vampire counts. Granted, you know, seeing how well that build performed, I'm like, oh, that could actually be tough to deal with. But I do think that Heinrich Kemmler is the way to go. So Heinrich, you get zombies, you get all the goodies here, but you also get Krell. Krell causes terror, and in case they do go monster heavy, it's useful. And honestly, it's just really cheap and really, really cost effective. I can keep on Death Resurgent, that's fine. Double Banshee, because, you know, aside from Spirit Leeches, like, there's not too much magic damage. Fist of Gork, and, like, you can usually heal through a couple Spirit Leeches, no problem. So on top of that, I do like to bring a couple Graveguard, I believe. So we went with the Stearnsman. We do also go with one group of standard Graveguard, one Blood Knight. I think that's always pretty good. A couple Cryptors as well. But the Cryptors are a little bit susceptible to the Focus Fire. So I really don't know how my traditional build would do against, my Vampire count build would do against the build I just used. I'm really not sure, but I do also like a Mortis Engine. I think Mortis Engine is pretty good. If you can take out the Orc Archers, it'll honestly like win you the matchup. And from here, what else did I bring? I think I brought some Vargheists as well, but I can't quite remember it. No, there's a Vargulf. Vargulfs are just really annoying for sure. And I believe from here I had a couple like Direwolves and things like that. So we can probably cut a little bit of money somewhere here. So we have the base core abilities. The Chaos Tombblade is quite good. We have the Blood Knights for flanking. We have the Direwolves. There's something about this build that's a little bit off. We have the Mortis Engine. I can't remember what it is. Heinrich does have to be on horseback though. Get rid of Undeath Resurgent. It's pretty good, but I guess we could cut that to get more Direwolves. A little bit of harass here for sure. It's going to be hard to find your way in, but yeah, basically the Graveguard push up with the zombies, you're dropping summons, you have the Blood Knights flanking, the Vargulf diving in and kind of occupying the archers. It can work. I've used it in tournaments. I used it in the Content Creator tournament against my son, Herbert Walker, and it was pretty effective, but I guess he was playing Beastman? I can't remember, but yeah, the Blood Knights are really good, pretty much dominates the Greenskin mobility. You have the zombies just to take the beating, and the Graveguard stacked with the Cryptors can be pretty good, but honestly, maybe cut down one Cryptor? I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think what my issue would be. The Black Coach I felt like was a really valuable asset in his army. That thing was certainly pretty tough to deal with. You could go with like Crypt Ghouls as well, but Graveguard do trade well with the Savage Orc Biggins. And the Cryptors, of course, give you a little bit of extra beating, but you're really going to have to be hyper-focused on trying to shut down the Archers before you send in the Cryptors, or else, like, Cryptors just get wrecked by Savage Orc Biggins. So something like this. Anyways, the other build I do also use in this matchup, so let's go to, I'm working on a bunch of Greenskin builds here. You can see I have a bunch for different matchups here. So Greenskins versus Vampires. Yeah, it's something like this. Skarsnik, you have an Orc Shaman with Fist of Gork and a sniping ability. She is here with just Spirit Leech. So basically, you have magic damage sniping with Blast, Spirit Leech, the Orc Shaman's Gaze, and it hopefully is enough. What you do is you just kind of wear down one of their bigger targets like the Black Coach, Blood Knights. You can Spirit Leech them and shoot them a little bit with your archers. And from there, you can Rampage them with Skarsnik, pull them into Double Giants, and you can usually do pretty well. It's worked for me. It certainly is a little bit tricky to protect the archers, but it depends on the build that your opponent is using. But yeah, I don't know. Something to think about. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the replay. I'll see you guys on the other side. Take care.